Welcome, everybody. Today, we are joined by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Castania from Civil Air Patrol. Lieutenant Colonel Castania has volunteered with Civil Air Patrol since 1996, holding a variety of command positions and duty assignments. He is a retired teacher from Wayne Hills High School. He's been honored with many distinguished awards for his teaching and volunteerism. Lieutenant Colonel Castania is affiliated with nearly a dozen aerospace affiliations in New Jersey. He enjoys engaging in speaking activities to promote STEM programs and community aerospace education. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today. I'm going to hand it over to you. And in the chat, if anyone would like to type in any questions, feel free to put them in there, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Crystal. I appreciate that. And hello to everybody out there in Cyberland or whatever we want to call this. I have to warn you, I taught high school theater arts for 35 years. So drama is in my life, and this could be a dramatic presentation. You really don't know. So Civil Air Patrol, just real quick down and dirty, was created back in December 1st, 1941, prior to our entry officially into the war. It was created by a fellow by the name of Gilrob Wilson. He remembered during World War I ships being torpedoed right off our seashore, our coastline. He had proposed a plan for pilots to voluntarily use their own aircraft to look for submarines, look for ships that have been torpedoed, et cetera, et cetera. This 90-day experiment, well, 80 years, we're still around, and we are the official auxiliary of the Air Force, but we are not a military organization. We are funded by the Air Force. And there are three programs. There's a cadet program. There is an emergency service program. Crystal's husband, Matt, and I work together on that aspect. And then the program that I'm involved in on a national level is our Aerospace Education Outreach. And this is where I want to come to you guys and show you what we have to offer. So bear with me for a moment. I am computer challenged, and you never know. So far, so good. The program that I have for you basically is teaching ordinary subjects in extraordinary ways. And the extraordinary is going to come in with what Civil Air Patrol has to offer. And I think the folks in the library land, you guys, have an opportunity to create something special, to create something to capture the interest of the boys and girls, even the parents that frequent the library, to create a section in your library where we're going to encourage the kids to explore. So I'd found this slide somewhere in my travels around the state, and it said, today, you can read a lot of them. It's a brand new day. Learn something new, make a difference, have fun. All these great things are in aerospace education. The photographs, we had an aviation day at St. Catherine's School in Spring Lake. So the principal is flying a small quadcopter, and all the students are, I think, hopefully waiting for him to crash. In the 8th grade classroom, we used a free pilot software, taught the youngsters how to navigate. And there is a navigation STEM kit that is out there, but you need someone with an aviation background to assist you. The upper right-hand corner is a view from the glider. I am a glider pilot. I usually say I don't need a propeller, and then our aviation day youngsters there with hot air balloons. So there's a lot to offer. And, it boils down to this. You tell me something, I'm going to forget it. All right. I may remember, but you need to involve me. If you involve me, I'll understand. I think that's a lot that our STEM kits have to offer. So we're going to be teaching, you're going to be teaching, or you're going to at least offer ordinary subjects in extraordinary ways that are going to motivate the young men and women on that. We have a number of websites that I forwarded to Crystal, and I encourage you to look around because there's so much information. I could not possibly do it justice in the time allotted and still allow you for questions and answers. So you'll have about 4 or 5 different websites within our main website that really details the program. And what I want to sell is this idea of STEM kits. We have over 20 STEM kits. Imagine, you have a room or a part of your library set aside for hands-on exploration. Now, some of these things, these programs might not apply. I do not encourage allowing the children to fly a quadcopter around the library. That could get ugly real quick. But there are things that they can do that are learning experiences, and they're out there. These are just some of the STEM kits that are available. I did not choose the STEM kit that's under the different topics. Some of them I may have wanted to rearrange, but ANLEGS is teaching geometry. Building bridges, buy a lot of balsa wood once you run out of what we supply you with, and the youngsters are challenged to do a little engineering. Building and learning geometry, 3 different kits all into one to allow you to visualize geometry. Cross-country navigation, I did this with 8th graders at Kathy Francis, a woman that I work with. At her school, we also used the flight simulator. So once the youngsters planned a trip, we flew it on the flight simulator. Anything that has a little asterisk means it actually flies. And it now requires a small test. This is for everybody. If you're flying indoors, don't worry about it. But some of our larger aircraft is outdoors. You need to take the test. That's the FAA. Their motto is, we're not happy unless you're not happy. We do astronomy. So maybe your exploration of the stars is a nighttime program. Hydraulic engineering, the kits are all pre-cut. You take a little food coloring, add that to the water, and when you press down on the little plastic syringe, you can see the water making these various objects move. Renewable energy is sort of like the old erector set with the plastic pieces to create some interesting devices. We have a robotics kit. Rocketry, I don't think we're going to shoot anything off inside the library. And the one, and Crystal can verify this, is the weather station. So imagine putting up a device on the top of your building and then using computers. You can actually see the current weather conditions, and maybe we can get some of the youngsters when they come in to make their own forecast. Under the cyber program, most of these are coding. The Bebot and the Code and Go mouse are for the real young youngsters out there. The Sphero and Mini Sphero kits are more age appropriate for probably 6th grade and up. The Raspberry Pi and 30 Days Lost in Space are not available to you guys only because of price. So the Air Force is saying, no, we're not going to give them out. Just some statistics, we do a lot. The Air Force gives us $1.1 million. We had to limit how we allocate that because we ran out of money 2 years ago. So you can order a STEM kit anywhere that coincides with the school year, September through June. Over the summer, it gives us a chance to sort of reorganize, restock our shelves, look into other new things that are being added. So just some propaganda. The aircraft in the middle of the screen, that's a VTOL. You may have seen the Osprey helicopter. That's what this is. It's no longer being offered. The manufacturer was having some issues. The little quadcopter on the bottom has virtual goggles. So you see what that camera sees. It's a fun thing to fly. You could fly it indoors if it wasn't for the fact that the youngsters and maybe some of us older children might be subject to spatial disorientation. What is excellence in teaching? I do this with the high school teachers and middle school teachers, even the elementary school teachers. Civil Air Patrol offers 3 different programs on 3 different levels. And what we want to do is teach the children first. We want them to take responsibility of their choices. We want them to become motivated. You can do that within the library. And if you can create a room, it's a place of discovery. It's a place of learning. It's a place of inquiry. This is again, the middle school over at St. Catherine's. Kathy and I work together on the New Jersey wing level. We do soda bottle water rockets. These are her 6th graders. Now this, if you invite me, I would be willing to come to your library if you have a outdoor area that we could actually launch these soda bottle water rockets. And it's a lot of fun, but we can talk about that later. Creativity. Our students had to design the soda bottle water rocket. So this is a 2-liter bottle that's intact. The water and air pressure go there. Another 2-liter soda bottle that we've cut the bottom off to increase the length. This was a 16-ounce water bottle, and this was the cardboard tube from a wrapping paper because it's very sturdy. So here's the finished product, and here the youngsters are pumping up the air and water. That went about 200 feet in the air, and that was all on them, their exploration. And to be an extraordinary teacher, or if you want to call yourselves mentors, you help the students to create a sense of responsibility. These were gliders made out of styrofoam plates, and they have movable, bendable control surfaces. So they're learning how an aircraft flies, and it's a great hands-on activity. Extraordinary teachers measure their success not by the obedience, but the degree of freedom. You get the kids to do things on their own, and it's wonderful. So the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that an extraordinary teacher, goes that step further, that little extra thing. We look at some of the people who've been involved in aerospace education, and the Wright brothers, they questioned what was out there. They didn't invent the first airplane. They invented the first controlled, sustained, powered, heavier than air aircraft. And I kind of put that up and put it on the same level as what we witnessed yesterday. If you watch the Dragon 4, here's 4 individuals. They weren't military. They weren't professional astronauts. They were everyday people, just the way Wilbur and Orville were. And that's 118 years ago on that. Walt Disney once said, if you can dream it, you can do it. The young man is flying one of our flight simulators at a McGuire Air Force Base open house. We had to pry his little hands off of that yoke. He did not want to stop flying. The young lady in the center is in a glider. I don't need no stinking propeller. She is now a licensed private pilot, and she has just graduated from college. I've lost track of the young man, but I'm sure that he probably followed up in flying. We choose to go to the moon. You may have remembered, or those of you that are my age, President Kennedy said we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, because it's hard. We're challenging people, and I think you can do that in the library. So the sky isn't the limit. They said, there's footprints on the moon. I want to add there's tire tracks on Mars. Where are we going to go next? And this is all in influencing our young men and women that come into the library. And, be all you can be. That's an Army kind of thing, and I'm an Air Force kind of guy, but you want to stretch the potential. Books are marvelous. You can get involved in a book. I'm preaching to the choir, but we can also get them involved in aerospace and STEM. So it's all about us stimulating, motivating, inspiring others. And basically the Wright brothers were saying that we were encouraged to explore. Should we not encourage the young men and women that frequent the library to do the same thing? Now, this is an older photograph of some of the toys that are available to you. And I want you to know that the list has grown, and some of the things that you see there are no longer available, but have been replaced with even better things. And I apologize for the garbage in the background. I didn't intend to use this, but it was the only slide I can find. And we want to challenge folk. I like what President Obama said a number of years ago. Science is more than a school subject or the periodical tables. It's an approach to the world. It's a creative way to understand and explore and engage. And I think that's what we want to do. Whether it's a book or whether it's a hands-on kind of thing. I have my own aviation library. I have about 350 books. I want to touch what I'm reading. I don't want to watch on television. I think the imagination is far better. And today's job market, I think the young men and women just don't realize what is out there and what is available to them. Fortunately, Civil Air Patrol, and again, we are a corporate entity supported by the Air Force. And I'm simply saying that in my program, I'm not recruiting youngsters. I don't want people to say, well, the Air Force is here and we don't want military in our libraries. I'm telling you that I'm giving you the tools to stimulate and motivate and have these young men and women reach out and find their potential. There's so many careers that are available to them out there. So within our program, it comes with free membership for the youngsters. These are all for young boys and girls under the age of 18 in the AMA. This is the Academy of Model Aeronautics. These are the radio controlled folks. And there are scholarships for engineering. The EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association, they offer free airplane rides to the young men and women to stimulate and excite them, the same way the CAP program does, but we're not recruiting you. Membership in the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. What I'm doing nationally is AOPA has a 4-year high school aviation program. We now have 12 school districts in the state of New Jersey that are involved in this program. And the young men and women, when they their senior year, are able to take the written FAA private pilot's exam, or they're able to take the what we call the Part 107. That's the UAVs, the unmanned aerial vehicles, the drones, the quadcopters. Some of these other products, programs involve a little money. First Robotics is wonderful, but it's expensive as all get out. I'm just throwing this out there. There is the American Astronomical Society. These are the amateur astronomers. They'll bring their own telescopes in and do programs. National Association of Rocketry. Well, we can't shoot anything off in the library, but it's an interesting program that you can invite these people in to speak. And then they have something on the external program level, TARC. It's Team America Rocketry Challenge. People are encouraged to design, build, and launch their own rockets. And the last one, the AIAA, so the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, they have free STEM programs, learning programs that if you guys are interested, you can download them and you can use them however you want. There's no charge for educators. And I'm going to say that probably those of you working in the library certainly qualify under that umbrella. These are some of the things that CAP Aerospace offers. There's innovative K through 12 needs. There's curricular materials, grant opportunities. Cyber Patriot and Stellar Explorers are great programs. You need somebody with a little IT experience. Aerospace Connections and Education is basically K through 6. They are grade specific lessons. You don't have to be a scientist, an airplane pilot to use them. We give you everything. Now, that might be more involved. You're going to say, well, you know, I have other duties in the library. I don't know if I can do this. You can even enlist a parent to present these things. There are over 500 hands-on activities in what we call our AEX, Aerospace Education Excellence books. And a lot of them are things that you and I would have around the house or would be in the school's art department. And who knows, maybe the library, you know, already has a collection of some of these materials. There's partnerships. We're also going to give you a free, I taught speech at one time, a free airplane ride in one of our Cessna airplanes, give you a chance to experience the joy of flight. I fly gliders. I don't need a propeller. And of course, the STEM kits. And it's all about thinking outside of the box to encourage the youngsters. Hot air balloons, well, we're able to get away with this in the school environment. So with the 8th graders in the school gymnasium, we make hot air balloons out of tissue paper and we fly them. So that would be one thing. We also hold a science day. Maybe the library could do this, where you invite youngsters in to explore different avenues, different areas of science, and then contact the local schools and see if some of their students would like to be mentors or teachers, and offer hands-on activities that the young people could be involved in. Again, my friend Kathy, Captain Francis, in teaching, she uses a section on chemistry. She says, well, astronauts have to eat. She had the kids making pickles, but she made the mistake on the evaluation sheet. There was Colonel's favorite, and then there was something to the effect, the one that Colonel disliked the most. For some reason, they all wanted that award. I think they were out to try to poison me. You can see the look on my face. They were pretty bad. Navigation, using Google Earth, using our navigation STEM kit, using our flight simulator. All you need to supply is the computer. We're going to give you the software and the control mechanism. The kids will automatically fly this thing themselves because they'll see it as a video game. But the instruments that appear on the computer screen are working, and they give you an actual representation of what that airplane is doing. So when I worked this with Kathy's 7th graders, 8th graders, we used the plotter, we used the chart, we decided we're going from airport A to airport B. We did a flight plan on this. We did scavenger hunts, and then they actually flew their flight plan on the simulator. Physics and space, we have 2 variations. This one, I don't know if you could successfully do it, but in your exploration, we have the youngsters build a glider and carrying a passenger, which is a raw egg. So we called this the chicken glider. And then we did a similar program where you had to land a raw egg, a scientific package on Mars or on the moon intact, and using pipe cleaners and styrofoam glue, the styrofoam peanuts, they had to come up with a way to protect the raw egg, the scientific package. We dropped it off of a 12-foot step ladder. I suggest that you either put the scientific package or the raw egg pilot in a body bag, just so that you don't have any unwanted accidents on the floor. But they're fun things that challenge the kids. You invite me during the summer, we'll do soda bottle water rockets. This was at the Egg Harbor Township STEM camp the last couple summers, working with the youngsters, and these rockets go up anywhere from 100 to 200 feet. So all you need is a field near the library. This is very tongue-in-cheek. I like to think if Winston Churchill was around today, he might say, in the course of extraordinary education, never have so few done so much with so little. And this is where Civil Air Patrol comes in, because we're going to partner with you. We're going to partner with educational organizations, institutions, and we're going to provide you with the ability to present challenging programs that encourage the youngsters to explore, to stimulate their minds, their imaginations, and do really good things. One of the things that you guys might want to look into, you can Google this. This is the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And if you Google that, the book is called Flight Adventures. There are 5 sections to this book with hands-on activities. One of them is building that FPG-9 glider over here with bendable control surfaces. Here I'm working with a group of teachers, teaching them, so in turn, they can teach their students. And it's a great fun. The couple of libraries, there's one over in Browns Mills that I had recruited one of the library people, and we invited the parents to come in. And this is kind of like a good homeschool thing. To the parents can take all this stuff home. You can go to YouTube, and if you Google the FPG-9 glider, part 1 and 2, there is a member of the Academy of Model Aeronautics. He actually shows you or your small assembled crowd how to build these things and how to fly. So it's just something you can think of. The Boy Scouts have a handout for their aviation merit badge that details a lot of aerospace education, aviation stuff. This is a free flyer that you can get right off the internet, and you challenge the young people. You have a quiet reading area in your library. Hey, here's a great way to do some exploring. And there's a lot of topics, a lot of information that they can look at, and just having our STEM kits out there might inspire something. I have to throw this out there because I think it's a wonderful program. It's free. If you have educators, administrators on the high school level, this is a free program. And there are 12 New Jersey schools doing this. There's also another school, if you are an Atlantic County resident, or you have some friends in Atlantic County, the Atlantic County Institute of Technology, ACIT, has had a 4-year high school aviation program long before AOPA decided to do something similar. Their students take their classes at the Atlantic Cape Community College. When they graduate with their high school diploma, they also have 64 college credits and an associate's degree in aviation studies. Unfortunately, the funding is running out. ACIT is going to go and partner with a group called Embry-Riddle. The students will receive 18 credits. They don't get an associate's degree, but boy, what a great program. There are organizations out there. You do a little bit of research on the internet. Gleim has all kinds of booklets to learning to become a pilot, learning how to fly properly the unmanned aerial vehicles. And there are rules and regulations, even though you don't have a license, that you need to be aware of on that. There is scholarship money out there, tons of scholarship money. So Women in Aviation, the Soaring Society, the Academy of Model Aeronautics, the Aeronautics and Astronomics, I never remember their name, the AIAA folk have money. The 99s, female pilots, and Amelia Earhart was part of the original group. The EAA, Sisters of the Sky, these are African-American airline pilots, less than 1% of the workforce out there, and they're looking to encourage women to get into the program. So there is tons of money should a young man or woman someday want to move into aviation. So our aerospace connections in education, this is a K through 6. There is individual books for each grade level. So there's a kindergarten book, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. In this little slide, I know you can't see it, but we, Civil Air Patrol, will provide you with a classroom set depending on what level. You might get balsa wood gliders. This is a foam rocket with a rubber band. I have to warn you that I've seen kids shoot these things at one another. I don't know where the wisdom of providing these for young boys and girls, but you can get that. Balsa wood gliders with a rubber band motor. Here's something else we can throw at one another. It's there, but the program itself is wonderful for the people. You have access to all of these books. These are free. So imagine in your space of special education in the library or even on a book rack, you put these individual pamphlets. So model rocketry, our model aircraft remote control book, our AEX books. There's all kinds of interesting material. And one of the links that I gave you gives you even more examples of what's out there for free. And most of it is supported by some of our STEM kits. These are the two books that you want to download right away as an aerospace education member. Between these two books, there are over 500 hands-on activities that you could encourage the youngsters to do either in the library. Someone's going to need supervision. If not, with a library staff member, encourage a parent or youth group leader to come in. It's worth looking into, or at least have the books there for the youngsters to peruse on that. Aerospace Education Excellence Award. This is more of a school kind of thing. I don't really know how we would do it in the library. I think it's possible, but the youngsters participating need to do 6 activities, aerospace activities, and then you need to offer a 2-hour something. It could be a virtual tour. You don't have to leave the library, but I would say somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours of exploring, or someone doing a virtual presentation would qualify. And then those youngsters receive a certificate. You know, I call it bling. I have in my office at McGuire Air Force Base, it's my I love me wall. So all of my awards are up there. I think the kids would probably do the same thing. My staff, by the way, calls me your airworthiness. I just want you to know that I am a legend in my own mind. Captain Francis, Kathy again is my assistant. These are her 8th graders. Every year, her 8th graders participate in the program. They've done the 6 activities. We usually do that science fair. That's our 2-hour activity, and they get their own certificate from the Air Force. We have an Adopt a Classroom program. Doesn't apply to you guys, but you know, if you're in the STEM program, who knows, maybe a local squadron could be convinced to come over on a Saturday or in an evening and do some aerospace programs, I know I'm willing if my availability allows it. I don't work for free. As I tell Crystal, I charge a cup of good coffee. If you can't get me a cup of good coffee, I'm not the guy to call. But you could probably twist my arm to come out and do something. Cyber Patriot for your older youngsters is a anti-hacking kind of thing. We offer it as a national contest, but it could be a standalone program. The Air Force Association sponsors it. The Stellar Explorers, there is software out there. It's called the Systems Toolkit, where if you put in the right data in simulation, you can dock with the space station. You could land on the moon. But if you put the wrong information into the computer, you can be like the Chinese and your satellite falls out of the sky. It goes off and lands up in the sun. It's a pretty interactive program. I tried to learn it twice. I gave up. I'm really computer challenged, but if you have an IT person, this would be wonderful on that. This is just more propaganda about the programs. We have a booklet on STK, as well as we provide you with the software for that. The orientation flights, you guys get the opportunity. These are all New Jersey teachers, by the way. We'll take you up, and at some point, our CAP orientation pilot will allow you to actually take control of the airplane. Trust me, if I'm your orientation pilot, I'm not going to let you do anything to hurt yourself, to hurt me. I have a great sense of self-preservation, and to hurt the airplane, because I'm the one that has to pay for it. There's grant money, and I think you as a library certainly would be interested in grant money. Now, we used to give it through Civil Air Patrol, a $250 grant that you would apply for. They've stopped doing that for the AEM program. The squadrons are getting the money, but the Air Force Association and the AIAA have money available. I believe the AIAA has grants up to $5,000, but again, you apply for all of that. They give you more information about membership. If you Google AIAA and throw in the words teacher or education or scholarship, it should take you to those pages. Different resources, we've already went over those. I created a number of posters out of PDF programs online when I do my presentations at the NJEA or the New Jersey School Board Association. This is all part of my visual aids packet. These are just some of the wonderful things that you could incorporate in there. These are pre-K kids who came down to witness our hot air balloons in the gym. Egg Harbor Township, the young men and women in their STEM camp. This is Girls in Aviation Day at Lakewood Airport. Our squadron with model rocketry. When we did the first year we did the STEM fair, the local newspapers here along the Jersey Shore picked up the article. For the Civil Air Patrol cadets, I'm not recruiting. I just want you to know that this past summer, we had 13 men and women. 6 of them flew an airplane soloed. In the year prior to that, before COVID, 10 out of 14 soloed. Working in school, and to me, it's like, hey, invite me to the library. I'll do the same thing with your youngsters. We even offered a program for the active duty personnel. They were saying, hey, you have stuff for our kids. How about stuff for us? So we challenged them with flying STEM copters in the base library. We had to shut the library down for a couple of hours so that someone there to actually do work didn't get buzzed. So it is a great program. Our national website, gocivilairpatrol.com. I encourage you to poke around. And Crystal, I think what we could do is kind of stop here for questions and answers or anything like that, because that's the program in a nutshell, and I can be more specific if you ask the right questions.
It sounds good. Thank you, Michael. If anybody is comfortable unmuting, you can certainly do so, or you can raise your hand or just type in the chat.
Crickets. I hear crickets. Either I wowed them to death and they have no questions, or I put them to sleep. I'm not sure what I did. It's a great program, guys. It's something that I think the youngsters who frequent the library would enjoy. Um, there's nothing to lose. It is a single one-time $35 fee. Once the library, or you can pay for it yourself, it doesn't matter to Civil Air Patrol. Once you pay that, you pay nothing else, and you have access to all of those STEM kits, and they are yours. You don't use them and send them back, you keep them. So you order that weather station, and you have someone in the library facility install it, where it can pick up wind direction and gather the water for the rain gauge. That's yours forever and ever. So you get to keep all this stuff. You get to keep these books, even if someone in the library doesn't have the time to work with the young children one-on-one. Just having that material for their own exploration, while maybe the older siblings or mom and dad, or whatever the adult is, do their own thing. Now they have that place of exploration on that. And I think Civil Air Patrol would be happy to support all of that. $35 for probably several $1,000s worth of materials. Plus you get me, only if you give me a cup of coffee. Still crickets.
Michael, have you had any experience with homeschooling parents who've done this?
They are my next target. I do know that there are a number of homeschool educators out there. I have not corresponded in person with them, but I am reaching out to a homeschool organization here in New Jersey to see if I can do a similar presentation, because I think a lot of the parents out there, the home educators, just don't know that this is available. And the advantage is, so Crystal, I know you have the 2 boys. As a homeschool educator, you can order these STEM kits and they reside in your house forever and ever. And I happen to know, because either you or Matt told me, that the kids constantly play with the things that you guys have. It's a win-win scenario, and certainly encourage people that come into the library that are homeschool educators or whomever. Tell them, hey, there's this program out there for $35. You can be part of it. I get nothing on this. This is not something that I'm being paid to do. I am a volunteer. I put a lot of time, a lot of hours into this, but I am an educator. I'm a retired educator, a lot of time in the air as a pilot. To me, this is my passion. I'm working with young men and women. Hopefully, I'm enabling them to dream it and then do it. I see that personally, and I do this on a national level, not just here in New Jersey. And there's more like me out there. Still crickets. Don't force me to tell jokes. I had students who used to beg me, no, not that joke, we heard it.
I'll share with everyone. So I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. And during COVID, when they weren't allowed to go to school, that's when I became an AEM member. So that $35 fee I paid, but we've gotten the Bebot coding mouse, which is what my sons play with all the time. Then we did the weather station, which we mounted on the roof of our house. And it was really fascinating when Ida went through, just a few days ago. And we got to see in that hour, like 3-5 inches of rain come in. So that was like a family activity. We were all watching that happen. Then we also have a telescope, which we got in the winter months. So it was a little chilly to go out and look at it. But of course, that's the perfect time of year to do stargazing. And then we did Snaptricity, which is to learn about electronics and circuitry. And that is the thing that my sons ask to do every night. They want to do that with mom or dad. The coding one they can do on their own now, but the Snaptricity, they like to make it an activity.
The Bebot program is interesting. The little, I don't want to call it a mouse because we have a mouse program, but the little device that moves around the floor, it comes with a large chart, and the chart has all of these squares. So you can throw random letters out and you have the youngsters spell words or numbers, and they have to do equations or geography. The whole thing is that they're learning coding. At the same time, they're being able to answer whatever questions your heart desires. And the the little mouse that Crystal was just talking about, you create a maze and you can rearrange the maze, and then there's a piece of cheese that you put down, and the kids have to program the mouse to go find the cheese. I mean, there's some great things. You can combine some of these STEM kits. That Sphero ball, you can control it, or you can have it program it to do autonomous functions. But you take the renewable energy, that erector set I kind of mentioned, have the youngsters create a chariot-like device that's now being powered by the Bebot ball and the Sphero ball, and now they have to drive it around maybe some obstacles, even if it's just tables and chairs in the library. But they're learning and they're having fun and they're doing. There's just so many variations that can be out there, and it's all funded, guys. It's free. It's wonderful. And I get to drink coffee. You're a rough audience.
Just to clarify, so when you get a kit, you have to write a little report, right? And submit that before
Yes.
you qualify for the next kit.
Yes, exactly. So you become an AEM. You do not wear a uniform. You do not attend meetings. You don't even have to talk to me. But you order your first STEM kit, depending on the number of people. Now, don't get too crazy, but when you order a STEM kit, one of the questions is how many students are involved? Oh, I could safely say you could tell them a half dozen to a dozen. Not going to raise any eyebrows. Don't tell them you have 30 or 40, but depending on the number of students and the cost of the kit, you may get more than one. The flight simulator, you're getting one. But some of these things, you can get multiple ones. You order it. They want you to use it, and I think they ask that you do at least 6 hours before you evaluate it. You don't have to like it. There's a couple STEM kits that I detest, and I get in trouble with my boss at National because I keep telling them they're stupid. But it's more like this information goes back to the vendor. The vendor is either going to improve it and make it better or discontinue it. Once you do the evaluation, then you can order a different STEM kit. You can also play this game. If some of you are in the same library system, so I'm just going to say Ocean County Library System. You have 3 or 4 members of that library system. They each become an AEM. They can each order a flight simulator because the simulator will be sent to them, even though they're all going to end up in the Ocean County Library. So you kind of look at that as a force multiplier. The Air Force, Civil Air Patrol, let's go back. Civil Air Patrol is not going to ask any questions on that. I won't come snooping around, nor do I care. It's all about the kids. So yes, you do have to do an evaluation, but that STEM kit is yours and you can get more.
I know the North Plainfield Library has the flight simulator and all of the books that coordinate with it. Those were circulating locally at that branch for about a year, and they did have quite a bit of attention in their display. Do you know of any other libraries in New Jersey who are using these kits?
The only one that I have any access to, because I still do programs with them, is the one that's over in Browns Mills. And it's been pre-COVID was the last time I was over there, and I haven't heard from them again now that things have relaxed. But it's the only other person I've had contact with. And then Mimi Cirillo, when she left Joint Base, I think she was in the Ocean County system. She's now doing something outside of the library for employment. But I'm willing to come out, and I bet if I give you the names of some local squadrons, that those commanders or those cadets could also help support you. I would certainly encourage it. I can't order it. I can't force them, but it's a worthwhile program. And it's something that they would want to do because of our cadet program, our aerospace program.
Before we wrap up, just because a lot of us are library assistants, so we don't have the power to go out and order these kits, what advice do you have to talk about this program with their supervisors?
I think it's essential, and kind of link this within the chain of command. Obviously, in what I do in aerospace, I'm at the top of the food chain, but I would encourage you to speak to whoever's in charge at the library and say, hey, I have this great idea. Here's this STEM kit program, and we can put these books on display, or we can set this up for the youngsters, and it's not going to cost anything because my membership covers that. What do you think? And kind of put that on them. And there's certainly enough information on the websites that I saw Crystal had provided you. I do want you to poke around. There is nothing there that's super secret sensitive. In one of the pull down menus, it's under educators, and educators comes up twice. There is a link to it's aerospace/STEM for remote education. There has to be several hundred educational links covering everything. There's videos, hands-on activities that you guys can utilize. You can give those links out to your patrons. You could print it out and say, hey, you're interested in aerospace, take a look at this. It's all free. There's no money. No one's recruiting the kids. No one's recruiting you. Again, you don't have to talk to me unless you want to talk to me. I'm out there to assist you. That's part of my function that I do within Civil Air Patrol.
Is it okay if I share your email with the group?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat now. I will send a survey to those of you who got to attend today, just for some feedback for the NJALA's purposes. I will put Michael's email and the links that I shared in the chat in that as well.
If they email me, I'll be happy to reply. But the other thing is, in my signature block is my personal cell phone. It's okay to call me. Just don't call me in the middle of the night. I'll come and get you. But if you call me, since I don't know who you are, leave a message. I will return the call. And then once your name is in my telephone directory, anytime that you have an issue that I can help you with, I would be happy to do so. Again, that's part of what I do.
Okay, thank you again, everybody. I just want to let you know what other programs NJALA has coming up. On September 30th, we're going to have a brainstorming networking session to talk about boosting program attendance. On October 14th, we're going to have a presentation about taking charge of your learning and development. This is going to be about empowering your staff. And then on October 28th, we're going to have a Halloween costume and networking bash. At that event, we're going to have a raffle prize. So we hope to see you then. If you have any other questions, feel free to stick around to ask Michael or type them in the chat. Otherwise, have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
You know, Crystal, real quick, maybe you and I should talk. I have a STEM quadcopter or two. Maybe we'll come up with some way to raffle them off to people who become AEMs. So something we could think about. Bribery,
Sure.
folks. No shame.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good idea. All right, I'm going to stop the recording here, but I'll stick around in case anyone has questions.